You wake up tired. Not the kind of tired that a good night's sleep fixes. This is deeper than that. It's the kind of exhaustion that sits in your bones before you even open your eyes. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, and you just sit there for a moment, waiting for energy that doesn't come. If that sounds familiar, you are not imagining it. And more importantly, it is not just age. Here's what most people don't realize. After the age of 60, the body goes through a very specific biological shift. Your cortisol awakening response, the natural hormonal surge that's supposed to flood your system with alertness and energy every single morning, begins to flatten. It doesn't spike the way it used to. The signal gets quiet. And when that signal gets quiet, so do you. But there's something else happening too. Mitochondria, those tiny powerhouses inside every cell in your body, they start to slow down. They don't produce ATP, which is your cellular energy currency, at the rate they once did. Scientists call this mitochondrial dysfunction. You probably just call it getting old. But the truth is, it doesn't have to be your story. Because researchers studying some of the most vibrant, sharp, energetic seniors in the world, people well into their 70s and 80s who move with purpose, think with clarity, and live with genuine joy, discovered something remarkable. Almost all of them shared one specific morning habit. Not a supplement. Not a complicated routine. Something so simple it almost sounds too easy. But the science behind it? Extraordinary. It starts with the very first thing you do when you wake up. Before the coffee. Before the phone. Before anything else. You go toward the light. Natural sunlight, specifically morning sunlight, ideally within the first 20 to 30 minutes of waking, does something to the human body that no pill has ever been able to replicate. When those golden wavelengths of light, rich in what scientists call low-angle ultraviolet and infrared radiation, enter your eyes and touch your skin, they trigger a cascade of events that reaches all the way down to your DNA. Your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock deep inside your brain, wakes up. It synchronizes. And it begins conducting the entire orchestra of your biology. Hormones align. Metabolism activates. And something inside you shifts. Think about the last time you stood in warm morning sunlight. Maybe on a porch. Maybe in a garden. Maybe just beside an open window with the early light falling across your hands. There was something in that moment, wasn't there? Something that felt like permission to be awake. That feeling is not just poetic. It is biological. When morning sunlight enters your eyes, it stimulates specialized photoreceptors called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, and yes, that's a mouthful, but what they do is simple and profound. They send a direct signal to your brain to stop producing melatonin and start producing serotonin. The shift happens within minutes. Serotonin is not just your happy chemical. It is the precursor to melatonin at night, yes, but in the morning, it is your engine. It governs mood, focus, motivation, and crucially, it feeds directly into the energy systems that keep you moving through your day. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Sunlight, specifically the near-infrared spectrum that's most abundant in early morning light, actually penetrates the skin and stimulates the mitochondria directly. A landmark study published in the Journal of Photochemistry and Photobiological Sciences confirmed that this process, called photobiomodulation, helps mitochondria produce more ATP. More energy. More cellular vitality. In plain language, morning sunlight is charging your batteries. Literally. Now let's talk about cortisol, because this one surprises people. Most of us have heard that cortisol is the stress hormone. And that's true, in excess. But in the right amount, at the right time, specifically that natural morning surge, cortisol is actually your best friend. It regulates blood sugar. It reduces inflammation. It fuels mental clarity. And morning light exposure amplifies and times that surge perfectly. Seniors who get regular morning light show measurably healthier cortisol rhythms than those who stay indoors. One 2019 study from Stanford tracked adults over 65 who spent just 20 minutes in morning sunlight for 6 weeks. By the end of the study, participants reported significantly less fatigue, better sleep quality at night, and improved mood scores across the board. Their bodies had essentially recalibrated. But perhaps the most moving part of this research isn't the data. It's the stories. There's an 74-year-old woman in rural Japan, part of a community that researchers have studied for decades because of their extraordinary longevity, who begins every single morning the same way. She walks outside. She stands facing east. She breathes slowly. She watches the sun rise. She's been doing it for 40 years. She says she doesn't do it because someone told her to. She does it because, and these are her words, the morning sun reminds my body that today is worth beginning. And in that simple, ancient ritual, she is doing something science is only now beginning to fully understand. So what does this actually look like in your life? Because knowing the science is one thing. Living it is another. And the beautiful truth is, this habit asks almost nothing of you. Here is the practice, exactly as it works best. Within 20 to 30 minutes of waking, step outside. Or if you can't go outside, sit beside an open window, not glass, because glass filters out many of the beneficial wavelengths, and let the light reach your skin and your eyes. Not staring at the sun. Just being in its presence. Do this for 10 to 20 minutes. That's it. You don't need special equipment. You don't need to be fast or strong or flexible. You just need to show up for the sky. During this time, some seniors choose to walk slowly. Others sit with a cup of tea, hands wrapped around the warmth, face lifted gently upward. Some simply stand on their porch in their robe and let the world wake up around them. The key is consistency, because the body responds to rhythm. The more regularly you do this, the more your biology learns to anticipate it. And anticipation, in biology, is called entrainment. Your circadian system begins running ahead of fatigue instead of chasing it. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. This quiet morning time, just you and the light, does something for your mind that goes beyond hormones and mitochondria. It creates a pause. A stillness. In a world that rushes from the very first notification, from the very first alarm, you are choosing, deliberately choosing, to begin your day with presence instead of pressure. That choice alone signals to your nervous system that you are safe. That today does not have to be survived. It can be savored. Many seniors who adopt this habit report that within just 2 weeks, they stop dreading mornings. That threshold moment, sitting up in bed, waiting for energy, begins to soften. Because their body now has something to look forward to. A cue. A ritual. A gentle promise that the day will begin well. There's something else worth saying here. Something beyond the biochemistry. Morning is a sacred time. There is a reason cultures across thousands of years, from ancient Ayurvedic traditions to indigenous sunrise ceremonies to Japanese Shinrin-yoku, have honored the early hours as a time of renewal. Our ancestors understood, without the language of science, what our bodies already knew. You are not separate from nature. You are made of it. And when you step into that morning light, you are not just activating a hormone or stimulating a mitochondrion. You are remembering something. Something old and true and yours. So tomorrow morning, before the rush, before the noise, before the weight of the day presses in, give yourself 15 minutes with the sun. Notice what shifts. Notice the steadiness that comes. Notice how your body seems to say, quietly and without words, thank you. Energy is not something you chase. It is something you invite. And the invitation arrives every morning, right on time, just above the horizon. If this gave you something to think about, or better yet, something to try tomorrow morning, please give this video a like and share it with someone you love, because these are the small habits that change everything. And drop a comment below. What does your morning routine look like right now? I read every single one.